CETA aujourd'hui n'est pas débattu nulle part. C'est un accord pourtant qui va être voté dès décembre. Et il nous semble que les citoyens doivent être informés. C'est pour ça qu'on a fait un site web sur la question. Il nous semble aussi que les parlementaires doivent être informés de ce qu'il y a dans le CETA aujourd'hui. Il n'y a eu aucune étude d'impact sur le CETA, ce qui est assez inhabituel. Et il nous semble absolument essentiel qu'un espace progressiste comme le Progressive Caucus, qui rassemble les gens de gauche et écologistes ici au Parlement, puisse débattre sur ce sujet pour savoir ce qu'ils en pensent.
Quelles sont les règles qu'on donne à notre économie et quelles sont les règles qu'on donne
Look, I have a good friend in the United States, a German trade unionist, and he's working on a place where for Volkswagen and others are producing in the USA. And he told me, please tell all the people that TTIP and CETA are very, very bad for the workers, because the American workers had the experience that they lost in the last years a lot of money, income, and that nothing changed better. They lost jobs, a lot of jobs, because of the free trade agreements between the USA and other regions in the world. And they, to your people, he said to me, that nothing is a lie on our critics. Our critic is very rational and it's well-based. And that's why, because they know that the Americans and others have bad experiences, and the people, the workers. Of course, the institutions in the EU, the negotiators, are not interested in to have a big influence by the public. That's why they're not interested on transparency or so. They want to have their own result. They want to get it through without any democracy intervention. And that is why they want to go forward on the way to more neoliberalization. And this is not an ideological reason. It's a reason for more profit. That's their own way. That's their law of them. And that's why they are not interested in democracy.
Here we are at the Left Caucus meeting to discuss CETA, the trade agreement that the EU has been doing with Canada and which the Parliament has to ratify. Or we can also say no to it and then it doesn't happen. And CETA includes a lot of very problematic parts. But we can only stop this trade agreement if we're working together, if we're reaching across political groups and bringing all the different people and groups together that are trying to stop it. And they might have also different arguments. You have the farmers, for example, then you have the people who are concerned about the investment courts. You have all sorts of local producers, for example, when it comes to geographical indicators. So we have to bring our allies together in order to make sure that we can stop CETA here in the European Parliament.
Alors l'Europe est confrontée à des crises très graves. Les migrants, la crise de l'euro, les crises économiques et sociales. Et face à ces crises, si on veut sauver l'Europe, il faut mobiliser toutes les forces qui ont des idées en commun. Et précisément, dans le caucus progressif, nous avons des idées en commun. Entre la GUE, les Verts, les sociodémocrates, nous avons la même vision de l'Europe de demain. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle on se réunit aujourd'hui. Alors on a choisi de parler des sujets concrets. Ce n'est pas juste de l'idéologie, c'est aussi on choisit des sujets concrets, on les décortique et on apporte des réponses. Précisément aujourd'hui, sur le CETA, qui est un traité de libre-échange avec le Canada, on essaye de voir si ce traité va dans le bon sens et s'il ne va pas dans le bon sens, qu'est-ce que nous, députés européens, nous pouvons faire pour contrecarrer ces projets. C'est précisément ce que nous essayons de faire ce soir.
Our first public event as Progressive Caucus was very successful, and that gives a very significant signal that we will cover a very severe need, creating a progressive alliance and an open forum for debate and common action in the European Parliament. We are trying to have a concrete alternative progressive proposal against the ruling majority and totally against the alternative of the extreme right, which is going totally to the past.
Sand oil problem.
Well, I think today we made a very good conference to explain the reasons why we're opposing CETA. I think the investment settlement mechanism, the liberalization of public services, things related to agriculture, there are American concerns, and we are convinced that this treaty is bad, both for the Europeans and for the Canadians. And I think it's very good that many MEPs from different left groups are united now in the left caucus to work together in those kind of issues. I think there are many issues that we need to work together and to have a forum where we can discuss and fight together for the things we believe. I think it's extremely important.
È un esperimento molto importante quello che stiamo provando, che è quello di mettere assieme punti di vista uguali, anche se collocati in diverse famiglie politiche. Io credo che su molti grandi temi, in questo caso sono i trattati commerciali, ma la stessa cosa è per i beni comuni, a cominciare dall'acqua, oppure per i diritti delle persone, sia nella loro funzione di cittadini che di lavoratori. Ci sono tanti elementi di possibile convergenza che possono aiutare lo schieramento un po' variegato della sinistra a trovare elementi di unità da far valere poi anche nel dibattito e nel voto in aula.
We're here at the Progressive Caucus in Brussels in the European Parliament. The room is packed. Why is it packed? Because here many committed MEPs and public from NGOs that are concerned about CETA. And CETA is the investment and trade agreement with Canada from the European Union. It's the little brother of TTIP. And we are deeply concerned about this agreement, that it will lower environmental protection, labor standards, that multinational corporations can basically sue democratic elected government in private tribunals if they enact laws in the public interest that hurt the profits of these multinational corporations. And we are very pleased to have intellectual challenge here. We have Pascal Lamy, the former Director of the WTO. Some of us demonstrated some years against the WTO. We have a very lively debate. And we want to make the life of those in European Parliament a little bit more difficult to think they can pass these agreements without democratic debate. This is why we want to send a signal to citizens across Europe, to parliamentarians in national member states. Stop CETA. If we don't do it as progressive members of the European Parliament, then we will see loss of jobs in Europe. We will see a threat to the quality of life, to the strength of labor, to our wages. And this is why we think we have to stand up to protect our democracy. And we aim in the Progressive Caucus to look for common action where we can, and even to have controversial debates, because we come from different groups, from the left-wing group in the European Parliament, from the Greens, from the Socialists and Democrats. But nevertheless, if the Socialists and Democrats maybe have more Bernie Sanders or Jeremy Corbyns, then we're happy to work together.
Discussions, because it's based on the basis of economical advantage.
I think it's important for the left to discuss the processes of globalization, and the CETA is an important step in this. It's, in my vision, a bad step, a bad trade, but it's important to discuss, to have an open discussion about this, because the most important reason of the crisis of the left in Europe is not to understand and not to be able to explain to the people the real effect of the globalization. And it's important to have different positions. We host speakers who are against the CETA or TTIP, and we also speakers who are in favor. And it's important for the left to study the evolution of the society, to abandon a vision, ideological vision of think and approach a new vision, and to have and to clear our ideas on society in that way, discussing among us.
E oggi noi avremo pareri che sono molto discordanti sull'accordo di libero scambio tra Europa e Canada. Al tradizionale popolo della sinistra, da una parte chi è a favore di questo.
These agreements are destroying the quality of life of the Europeans. These agreements are sponsored by the big corporations and the lobbies in Brussels and within the Commission and the European Parliament. These agreements are not supported by the people, by the trade unions, by the syndicate, by the working people, by the youth. No, only the big corporations are profiting from that. That's why we're against. And we're also against because we see that this is the direction Europe is going. This is part of the problem, the new agreements. So we want to change course. We want to take another direction in order to save Europe. And that's why we found common ground. Deputies from different political groups and backgrounds. We are having the same worries, and we believe we can change the course of Europe. And this was the first meeting we had. Public meeting, and it was very successful, and we're going to go on with this.
To me, which is that it's full frontal liberalization with no policy constraints.
EU trade policy, and that if the EU cannot have a trade policy, what is the EU good for?
Environment. In your party that are in governments, for instance, in Greece, in Portugal, or in local government.
Nos choix démocratiques qui sont en jeu. Et ce que disent ces accords, c'est que ça n'est pas une négociation de libre-échange. Dernier point, il y a le sommet UE-Canada, plutôt que de redonner du pouvoir aux citoyens, c'est des
argument in favor of CETA. From quite a different nature, other concerns from the European Union.
Je suis désolé, je dois partir. Ce n'est pas par manque de respect de mes très beaux